toward even greater speed.
And with that great speed, where do you find yourself? Right here in Tiny House Live. Once again, you found your way. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. You know I love you, Sonoma County. Nice to have you in my tiny house once again, where magical things can happen at almost any given moment from what I've seen in my day to day. It's been a magical day for me. All I can say is I woke up this morning, I fed a llama, I petted a goat, had some sheep, spent my day doing some chores, and looked forward to this show more than you might even guess. That's all I'm telling you. And why? Because, well, you know, some magical things have been happening on my show lately. I don't know if you noticed. Things have changed a little bit. I had some great conversations with some amazing people around our community and around the planet in general. And so, that being said, I'm really looking forward to having my friend when he gets here. I expect him almost any minute. And we'll be bringing each other together and having a little in-depth conversations on things about the world around us. And, you know, the greater element of life in general. That's kind of what I'm talking about. So as we speak, thank you for being here once again. You are with your professor, high here in the hills of Petticoat, and welcoming you to, I think this is episode 5 now, as a matter of fact. So now that I'm thinking episode 5, yes, that is Tiny House. Wait a minute. I'm hearing somebody at my door. I knew it. Can't be far off.
Tiny House Live.
He knows where he is.
Tiny House Live.
There he is. Oh, well, come on. Come sit down. Come sit down, my friend. People are wondering who you are. People know who you are because, my friend, you are none other than Francis Rico, my friend right here, welcoming you to your tiny house experience.
It's good to be here. It's good to be tiny. It's good to be moving so fast.
Hold on. We have seatbelts on our seats, and as you know, in Petticoat, where we are tonight, I have oxygen if you feel lightheaded at all.
I'm happy to have the seatbelt. That was very reassuring. Thank you.
I try to strap everybody in. Know that there is no splashdown. You will not get wet, as far as I know.
I just hope that everybody, all of you that are watching right now, put your seatbelts on too. Safety first. Maybe safety glasses. I think that might be a good idea.
I actually have some. So no, that's right. I'll leave them for later.
Okay.
In case we get more dangerous. But no, I don't expect any danger tonight, Francis. I really don't.
No.
I really don't. I think we're in a good place tonight. Matter of fact, I've been really looking forward to covering this show, largely because I've been off into subject matters lately. Like last week, I did my Dark Side of Oz, which is really a fun seminar for me, talking about all the nuances of trying to put two worlds together. My of course, The Wizard of Oz and Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, and how you put them together, how this creates its own alternate universe. And that really inspires me to look at other universes and how people reach them. And so that's one of the reasons, Francis, I've been really looking forward to having you with me, because I know, as a lot of people do, that your shaman path is really interesting, and I really want to be hearing a little more about that tonight, as well as some other community things. We've got some history to talk about, because you and I go back a long way. And actually, maybe even before we go too far into that, let's start from the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning, Frank.
Okay. Well,
I use that word, by the way,
frankly. Well, in the beginning, I was a seeing eye boy. This was before there was such a thing as seeing eye dogs.
Really?
Yes. So my grandfather, Pedro Angel Fernandez, was a Mikado shaman. And what Mikado means is in between the worlds. Someone who moves from ordinary to non-ordinary reality and back. And he was blind. He had been blinded at the end of World War II in the Philippines, where, as a Spaniard, he had been in a prisoner of war camp, and it was a place where MacArthur came at the very last moment and rescued these people. So their love for America was absolutely profound. They moved to the United States, to Catalina. My mom was a young, little, innocent, naive 16-year-old hibiscus flower who had a little child out of wedlock with a little Native American boy. And so I was raised by my grandparents. And because my grandfather was blind, when it was time to go get the mail, they would say, Rico, which was my family name, take Grandpa down to the mailbox. And that grew into take Grandpa out on his next job. So, because he worked as a shaman on Catalina Island and then later in San Pedro.
I grew up in Long Beach.
So you know exactly.
And
where
I've spent many times in San Pedro, and I used to water ski from Long Beach Arena to Catalina and back. So
26 miles across the street.
Funny connection that we already have in this conversation, because
so
as we dive into these kind of conversations, it's like sometimes I don't know what we're going to pull out. But
so he would ask me, "What do you see?" When he would do shamanic work, he'd be doing because he worked for people. He got into the most unusual circumstances. My grandmother, by the way, was Father, Son, and Holy. You know, she was extremely religious and always praying for him because he would end up in the weirdest, wildest kind of scenarios. One I remember was a chicken coop where the people thought that demons had taken over their chickens. And now I'm a little like 6-year-old boy with my grandfather, and the demons have taken over a chicken coop because their eyes are pinning, and you know chickens.
I do. I have them right outside. Right. We met some a few minutes ago.
Yeah, so you know. And so he was blind. He said, "Rico, go to the very last cage. There were 12 in a big chicken coop, 12 different coops with maybe 15, 20 chickens per coop, and find the little black and white hen." So I went there and I came back, and they're stinky. They used burlap bags in those days. So it was burlap that the chickens nested in. And it rotted and it smelled like chicken.
I know it well. I cleaned the coop just today.
You know that smell. And so I came back to my grandfather. I said, "Grandpa, there is no little black and white hen. Rico, go find the little black and..." So I went and found her, digging through the muck, and brought her out. She was a little tiny thing, and she had reached her head through the wire fence and scratched it on her way back. You know, because what's on the other side of the fence is always better than what's on your side.
Especially to a chicken.
Yeah, to a chicken. That's nirvana over there.
They must go. They must go.
They have to go. So she had scratched her neck, and then because chickens, I don't know if you know this, but they're dinosaurs still, and they will attack each other.
They do.
And so she hid, and the other chickens said there's something wrong, and then the hysteria started blending through the entire chicken coop to the point where 10 coops with maybe 300 chickens were all in a state of pin-eyed hysteria. They couldn't eat, they wouldn't lay eggs. And my grandfather took this chicken and said, "Let's take her outside." And the family was there with 2 little girls. Give the chicken to the little girls, feed her for 10 days, sing songs to her, and then put her back in the coop after 10 days. We got a call the following morning. "Pedro, our chickens are laying eggs. They've laid hundreds of eggs. You will have eggs all summer." So what he asked me to tell him was, when he started working, what did the chicken coop look like? Well, it looked scary, and it was ugly. It was red. It was.
Yeah.
And then as he worked, and he was humming, and he was moving energy, it changed, and it became rosy. And at a certain point, the chickens were looking at each other and going, "What was all that about? Hey, look, there's chicken feed right here.
They do have a short-term memory.
We have water. It's unbelievable." And so the chickens were restored to wellness. The family, I'm certain, convinced themselves that somehow the demon had been kicked out. And in fact, my grandfather had seen through to the real core of what was really happening and why the hysteria had formed.
And you know, when I originally started thinking about this, talking to you tonight, I was going to ask you, well, how did you choose the path to be a shaman? Although you may not choose the path, and you're shown the path, and you just answered that question for me, because your grandfather showed you the path.
Right.
With that.
So what he did was he encouraged me to use the kind of skills that we all have,
right,
which is to see the flow of radiance and energy that are present everywhere, outside of the chronic contraction of our objectification of what we call reality.
There you go. No, honestly, yeah. Oh God, I love this. I love this. You know, I hope you guys are enjoying this as much as I am, because honestly, I need some company. I need people to talk intelligent to me and share some real information and discuss some things of importance. And that's really why this show excited me tonight, because I know there's some things that we can let people know out there to help the matters get better to where they are right now. You know, there's so many things that people are distracted by and concerned about and hyperboiled about.
Yes.
And I really wanted to my encouraging point tonight was stop looking to go outside as much as look to more inside to how to resolve these issues, and ideally that's what we need to be doing, even politically and socially, getting closer to who we really are. And so this conversation tonight is just wonderful.
Well, for me, I departed who I really was when we left my grandfather. My mom finally found the American war hero to marry that everyone idealized at that time. So I was around 7 or 8 and my grandfather left me with his guitar. And instead of being a whimsical goofball scene energy and working with a shaman in these other realms, in non-ordinary realities, I was suddenly in the Army. And
wow, there's an alternate reality.
Yeah. Yes, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
And everything about me was wrong. I spoke Spanish only, and I was seeing things all the time that were not there. It's kind of like when you have a cat and they give you that look like something just went through the room. You didn't see it, but they did.
They did, yeah.
I was like one of those guys. I was also an inadvertent giggler because we would go to church. Actually, I'm the only kid, I think, that the Catholic Church actually had a priest come to my parents and say, we would prefer it if you not bring your child to church, because he begins giggling and other people giggle, and then pretty soon the whole church is laughing and we are not able to continue our services. Because what I see through clothing, I see into people's bodies, and I see the flow, it's called the rainbow body in our old traditions, the flow of energy that is the biophotonic field of your light, the light of you, the emitting light of you is something that my grandfather coached me into seeing. So I did want to give you one basic grounding, though, so that you know that everybody has these kind of gifts and ability. Shaman is not a noun. Shaman is a verb. So when someone says they're a shaman, they have either completely misunderstood or they're waiting for you to say, and that means what? Because what it means is that you're vibrating higher, deeper, and broader than the contraction of normal reality. The contraction that our minds shape in language by objectifying and identifying and defining everything in a noun subject object based language. So shamanism is a verb. It means vibrating. And I'm kind of happy that they found the word shaman when they started looking for what word do we use to describe this function, because they used witch doctor.
Well, that's the closest that I could find. Medicine man, witch doctor.
Medicine man. Yeah. And of course it was all kind of like they were busted. Early cultural anthropologists were busted for their use of these terms because witch doctor is like a combination of a cultural reference to Judeo-Christian mythology and at the same time an ironic presentation of the word doctor. So they were actually, dismissing this position in a tribal culture. So they found this word shaman, which was used by Russian cultural anthropologists from a Tungus tribe in Siberia. And I like it much better because the alternative would have been vibrator.
I didn't see that one.
How do you explain to your mother, so son, how is your career in the ineffable, mysterious, great mystery going? Well, Mom, I really have become a vibrator.
I'm a vibrator, Mom.
Yeah. And so shaman works just, as long as you know that shaman means vibrational potential. We all have it. We all have the ability to move out of contraction and into a larger, expansive, more agile, resourceful, creative space.
I agree. I think we just did.
That's
Did you feel that?
That's why I became a musician. I had my grandpa's guitar.
Well, that makes total sense.
I could hit a string, and in the vibrational field of one string, I could leave the yes sir, no sir of being in the United States Army at 9 years old. With an authoritarian AAA alcoholic colonel.
It's colonel too.
Yeah.
Man has some rank, all right.
Yeah, so he had rank, over children. I had a bunch of younger brothers in a row. That's called the Catholic rhythm method. I've always loved children. But I became
good with the rhythm method, I understand.
I became a musician, and I thought I was a musician. All my friends were a musician. When I went to Tam High, I had a group with Bill Champlin, and George Duke and I would jam together.
George, too.
George. I mean, these were my contemporaries. Dave Shalak, who is a wonderful bass player, still lives in Marin. Yogi Flem, if you remember those guys. We had a group called the Surfin' Jesters, because we were playing Motown because we loved it, but surf music was popular, and we kind of blended the two.
Wow, that's a crazy combination.
We were.
One wonders what that sounded like.
We had red. You're gonna like this. This is tiny house material. We had red vests that after the first set we flipped them and we came out wearing black vests.
Oh, costume changes already.
Costume changes.
Wow.
From that, I formed a band in Sonoma County. My first real performance was in the summer of 1968. I lived in downtown Cotati at 65 West Sierra, and I ran a bunch of extension cords out to a rented flatbed truck in what is now the park. And we had 350 college kids doing our own Summer of Love.
I love it.
And my band was called the Bronze Hog.
Darn right it was.
It was named after an old hulky relic of a car that was rusted out that used a quart of oil to get between Cotati and Sonoma State University.
I was wondering about the history of Bronze Hog.
Yeah. Now, it was a bad name, and it was the worst name you could possibly pick, although people loved us and we loved them, okay? But what we didn't know is that the bikers, they had a different take on Bronze Hog. They saw Bronze Hog and they said, these are our lads.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we could do a biker gig. We played for the Hells Angels, Gypsy Jokers, the Nomads, and a bunch of other groups to not be named. And when we were frightened by these gigs, of course, and so they paid us more and more money. Where a normal gig would make you $150, when we would play for the Nomads, they would pay us $3,500. We could live for 3 months, 4 months, all of us, on what we would do for one biker gig. The only thing was that we had to start at 9 o'clock and finish at 4 in the morning and never leave the stage.
Well, it's not union, right?
No, we had no desire to be united with any of these people. Finally, our conclusion of our last gig with the I think it was a Gypsy Joker gig. A guy pulled a gun and wanted my shirt for his girlfriend because it had a Rolling Stones kind of like a thunderbolt, a cloud with a thunderbolt in it. And he said, "Give me the shirt." And I said, "Hey, I'm in the band, and this is, they're taking care of us." And he said, "I'm going to take care of you with this .45 revolver, son.
Give me that
Give
shirt.
me that shirt." So I gave him the shirt.
Why do all biker shows end like that? Because that's not the first time I've heard that be the ending of a biker show.
Well, it was the last time. I said, "Guys, I really do. I know we're making good money doing these because it supported our presence as artists doing benefits for the Cotati, for the end of the beginning and early days of the Cotati Cabaret we supported." But that was all Frank Hayhurst, and my mom had found her American war hero, and what was important to her was that I be able to have a life that wasn't Hispanic and Native American, because my father was Native American. So she wanted to make sure that I was Anglo and that I stayed that way so that I had a future, because she was shocked by, in the Philippines, the Spanish had been royalty. And when they came from the Philippines to Southern California, Hispanics were servants. So a song that was popular when I was born was, "If you're white, all right. If you're brown, stick around. We're going to need servants. If you're black, get back.
Oh, man.
And if you're red, you're dead." This was a popular tune. So
choked up just thinking about that.
Yeah. So she indulged my guitar playing, and she didn't want me to be involved in any of this hocus pocus alternate reality stuff, even though my grandfather's approach was very. So what we know now, of course, is that there isn't just ordinary and non-ordinary reality. There's a multiverse. We are existing inside of a field that we call infinity, that is about 4% of what is now being called totality. And the totality is a multiverse of iridescent, bubbling, frothing universes, cosmoses, every bit as valid as ours, that sometimes you can reach out of the contraction of ours and into for resources and creative ideas. I think that musicians and artists visit.
Yes, I agree, 100%.
I think that when you dream, sometimes this becomes a potential.
Yeah.
And I think that in times of great urgency, like the emergency that we have on our planet, not only the current one with the threat that we all feel from coronavirus to us as individuals, But the disarmament of our species is an emergency, and behind that is another emergency, which is we need to care for the ecology of our planet and all the other species that live here.
Yeah.
So these emergencies, these overlapping emergencies, are calling us to emerge, and that's what we're doing. That's what this is about. That's why we're here.
Yes,
we're
exactly.
here to emerge and to share. There is a possibility of coming present with the gift that you are, and when you bring that gift to this world, you are bringing resources and creative potential and alternative possibilities to a place that is locked down and contracted and frightened.
Yeah.
And we're not afraid.
No, we're not. We're not. And we're not
We're
afraid.
old.
We may be old.
And
but
we've
we're not
been
afraid.
around.
We've been around.
But we're not afraid.
I am not afraid. That
And
takes a lot to make me afraid.
You don't have to be afraid either.
No, now's not the time for that anyway. Once again, now's the time to be looking inward. You're not afraid to look inward.
But you've been part of this music scene too, that I was a part of.
30 years plus.
You know, for me, the gift of the music scene was that I was always able to take time, not only as a pro musician, but then having Zone Music, which, if you remember that, thank you so
Yes.
much for being a part of that.
Thank you for being that.
30 years of supporting the musical community, which I still do with Peacetown, which we'll get to. I know that you want to talk about
Well,
it.
we're going to talk about it.
But as a musician, I always was able to make enough money to have time to travel to Alaska to visit the Inuits, to travel through central Mexico, in South America, Peru, Bolivia, to the southern tip of Chile to visit with the Mapuche people. I didn't know it. What I was really doing was trying to get back to find my grandfather.
Oh.
That's what was really happening.
No, I see that. You didn't know it at the time, though,
I
did you?
didn't know it.
No, we never do until it's
didn't
after.
know.
No.
I thought I was researching indigenous wisdom traditions, and that I was trying to find
Well, you were.
an experiential foundation and teachers that were teaching that place that I had left when I was like 8 or 9 years old.
Yeah.
And a lot of them knew it. A lot of them could look at me and see they knew, just like my grandfather knew where the chicken was, they knew who and what I was, and they were just waiting. They were waiting for, they were willing to share with me things that they don't share with people.
Yeah.
One
Because
group
they knew they would understand.
they knew that I would get there eventually. One
yeah.
group of people, though, hardcore, the Kalawayas, who live in the ice fields of the Royal Andes. I visited them 11 years in a row, sometimes twice a year, before they would even consider me more than a gnat. You know, like a little temporal buzzing irritation.
Yeah.
And finally, they began teaching me, sharing very basic, fundamental, energetic practices that are the foundation of my shamanic work.
Because you kept it up. Because you kept coming back. Because you kept up your interest. They believed.
They believed.
They believe and you believe.
I think finally, you know what, Professor, finally what I think they said is, apparently he's not going to go away.
We better teach him everything he knows and send him out in the world and hope for the best. Is that what they do?
I think they said apparently he's going to keep coming back because it's been 11 years and he's been here like 14 times.
Well, you know, that's when you realized your path.
Yes.
And that's and how long goes that for you in the timeline? How long did this shift happen between what we'll say Frank Hayhurst to Francis Rico?
Well, as a musician,
Where were you?
As Frank, and with my business, it was like parallel identities, because I was in service to the musical community, and I've always believed, like Musicians Helping Musicians, the benefit organization that I've been a really profound part of, creating musical community. Peacetown, which is an evolution of that. The Mr. Music Foundation, which works to provide music education for children.
We had Jim Corbett on the show a few weeks ago.
You know, all of these things have been really profoundly important to me. But what this career gave me of being a musician and having a retail business was time.
Ah, time.
It gave me time to spend 3 weeks, 4 weeks at a time living with indigenous people in remote third world locations.
That's amazing. The opportunity.
Including in Ecuador, and including like some of the, I know that one of the conversational things that we were considering was some of the ways that people are using to try to leave the contraction of normal reality. Our culture has a fascination with getting high.
No way. We're all childs of the 60s around here.
I know.
Well, we can broach the subject of the ayahuasca tea, please.
Yeah, okay.
I'd love to actually have a real conversation about.
Okay. The old traditions, and ayahuasca comes from this tradition of not just getting high, but simultaneously getting deep and broadband. In other words, moving from the contraction of normal reality and vibrating in higher dimensions, higher frequencies, but also in deeper dimensions. Now, one of the reasons we don't like to go deep is because what's there is grief and is the transitory nature of everything. It's the ephemeral realms, it's the losses that we experience and in every way, but grief is foundational to a real life. But so grief and joy are like the left and right foot in the old traditions. And when you're able to walk standing in your grief and in your joy, you actually you become love in motion. Okay, now ayahuasca, being used as a recreational drug or a drug that will maybe orient you to when you do it in a native culture, when you do it in Ecuador, it took me, they recommend 6 to 9 months because you do what's called the dieta, the diet. And what that is that it's a progressively reductive diet where you end up drinking the tea of certain plants that educate you and dial you in so that you become responsive to the potential for ayahuasca to move through your neural network and reorganize and reshape you in alignment with the creative flow of life itself. That's the potential of it. Unfortunately, here in the United States, ayahuasca is sad, and there may be many people that are genuinely, well, there may be a very few people that are genuinely presenting ayahuasca with the respect, even though the ayahuasca is sad.
Good, yeah.
But because people are paying money, and a lot of money, a lot of times, it is oftentimes mixed with LSD and ecstasy so that you get your money's worth and you have the body rush experience of merging and melting, and you have the psychedelic experience of everything.
Which is not what it's about to begin with.
That is not ayahuasca, that is getting high. Yeah. And so what happens when you get high? You come down. What the old traditions recommend is already be down. Get high and down simultaneously. Become real, really become real in your life. Feel the real sense of loss. So what happens when we allow ourselves to feel our grief, the real grief of the things that we've lost? It's tough, it's heartbreaking, but also you begin to appreciate the preciousness of each moment because you realize how transitory and ephemeral it all is. Yeah. So here in this moment, we're together in a realm of magic and miracles.
Well, you're in Tiny House. Of course you are.
So this is, relish this, enjoy this, be here. Right. You know, be here now. So move to the present moment. Now, microdosing is really an interesting idea, and I have no problem with cannabis at all as a co-evolving medicine. We have a cannabinoid endocrine system, for goodness sakes. I do have to say, for my own experience, I manufacture endocannabinoids. I naturally am happy in a very deep, I hallucinate, 3 breaths and I'm like in bliss and hallucinating. So my mission is always to kind of contain myself and stay kind of within some kind of structure that looks sort of normal.
Maybe that's what's been wrong with me all these years,
Francis. It could be.
Is that it?
It could be.
Because I find myself overly cheerful and at the worst possible times.
I know, it's an invertebrate.
Like maybe in church.
Yeah, right, like a giggler.
Like a giggler.
Yeah, told not to. Well, so this place though, this really a deep place that's available to all of us. If we're under a lot of stress, exocannabinoids look very, I mean, they're a medicine.
Yeah.
So, and as a medicine, and so many, we know so little about some of these really wonderful alternatives. So I'm not opposed to drugs, but I'm opposed to bad drugs. Okay. So most ayahuasca experiences, if you're willing to allow me to guide you to people that will take you between 3 and 6 months to 9 months on a progressive diet to the point of this. Now, do you need to do ayahuasca? No. There's ways of becoming real There's ways of finding these realities within us and reorganizing ourselves that are right here, right now.
Yeah, yeah.
They're all in the present moment where we are right now.
I love it. I'm there with you.
Yes.
I'm there with you,
Me
brother,
too.
all the way.
And we're not afraid.
And we're not afraid. We're getting older by the moment, but you know, you're making me feel younger just for the whole thought of, you know, this takes me back really, because some of the thoughts I had when I was a younger man, when I was in the 60s and the 70s.
Me too. I was there with you.
I know you were. Whether we were standing side by side, we're the same tribe.
I
know
remember
we
you. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was the experiences I had in that communal effort, and there were drugs involved during that point. It was part of the whole 70s thing.
Sure.
You know, but what it did was it pulled a community together in ways that still live to this day, in just amazing, magical ways. And I hang on to those. I am proud to say I've been a hippie my entire life. Well, if there is a tone for that.
Well, where we are right now, the Tiny House Live, we are speaking, we are sharing community. This is the community that this is creation's bet on how we're going to reshape our planet. How are we going to respond to the emergencies that we're facing? We're going to do it together, whatever that means. We're going to find the creative resources. We're going to find the music. We're going to find the love. We're going to find the commitment within ourselves to shift the way that we live.
Very true. Very true. It's exactly what we're doing, and it's one of the reasons why this program excites me so much, just because I just being able to give the opportunity people to come in, use technology like we're doing here tonight, be able to reach so many people in the world with important information, and just as the vibe, and you can call it entertainment, whatever you want. You know, I've got all kinds of things I'm trying to cover, and so I may do a cooking show soon. You know,
I love that.
I'm thinking about it. I seriously am. I got a Kitchen K right at Studio K. I might start cooking up. But I'm just saying, this is a really wonderful format, and so I'm really enjoying bringing just valuable people. And I think I referred to you earlier in some of my promotional stuff and having you here as musical founders of our community.
Yes.
And you are, man. You are. And I think I am too. I don't want to pat my own self, but we've been doing this for 3 to 4 decades now.
Yes.
In this community, and so many people know of us for what we've been doing. You with your musical side, and now you're shaman, and me with my sound engineering and now video. It's just I love the fact that we just keep pushing the envelopes of community in our county.
And stay present. Speaking of community, one thing that emerged out of the musician community was when we started doing concerts to benefit musicians who had experienced crisis or health crisis. Right. This was Zone Love that you asked about.
Oh yeah.
It was really an expression of a community. Musicians came together and realized that they weren't competing, that they were colleagues, that they got a chance to hear each other, because we would have our model to make a lot of money at a benefit was 25 bands in one night, all playing encore sets. Like you jump up on stage.
I was the one engineering a lot of those shows.
I know.
Trust me, I remember.
So it was wild.
Bands in one night.
What people don't see behind the scenes is that every band has its own unique preferences for this and that, and people would jump up and they would nail their encores, their 3 encore songs, and leap off, and the next band would leap on. By doing that, each band of 25 bands would bring 50 people, and we'd have a silent auction. We could raise 30, 40 grand, which is, in terms of dealing with cancer, not much, but it would help a family, at least give them a little bit of a buffer dealing with the craziness of it. The most important thing that came out of it, besides the help, was that people began to see that we are all in this together. And musicians began to see that other band, they're not stealing gigs from us. We're dealing with club owners that are playing us against each other. And then you begin to evolve something like, and this is why I'm here tonight, one of the reasons why I said yes, is that then you get an organization like the Redwood Cafe that in our community got real and advocated and supported musicians and knew the value of music, insisted that people pay for it, which they were willing to do, which got really great musicians, and an upgrade of the club standards. And suddenly you took it into videoing it so that people who were at home could share the experience. An interesting case of prophecy, because now that is what we are all doing.
It's amazing, isn't it?
I know.
I'm retired, you know. I was supposed to retire, relax, and do nothing the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right.
I've seen you retired. First of all, it was the goats, then it was the llama, then it was the chickens, and now it's us.
It's safer for everybody if I'm kept busy. That's what I'll tell you. But no, I appreciate that. And the Redwood Cafe has been a wonderful extension for me. It's actually my 5th nightclub because in this county, because I started up originally with Scott Goree, of course, like Magnolias, built up a really nice music scene during the 80s.
I remember it very well.
Very strong, one of the strongest scenes we had in this county, as far as I'm concerned, was the 80s.
Absolutely.
So many things. And I moved over and did the Studio Cafe with John Duran and Bill Bowker and Doug
Beautiful
Smith.
organization. It was a radio station, nightclub. It was like amazing.
You know, it's kind of what I'm doing right now when you think about it, because it was cable radio, and people didn't even know what cable radio was. So we introduced a brand new format of entertainment.
Before it actually happened.
As it was actually happening, much like we're doing here tonight.
Right.
So, you know, I've tried to stay ahead of the curve. That's kind of what's always given me
That's why we've got our eye on you, buddy.
Who's got their eye on me?
All of us.
I'm easy to find.
Yeah.
I'm right here in this tiny house, high in the hills of Petticoat.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody, if you just joined us.
Yes. Let's back up a second, because we've been chatting away, and I knew this was going to be one of those. I knew we were going to start talking.
Oh, darn.
And we'll probably take a break here in a second and give us both a chance to sip a little agave, and thank our unofficial sponsor tonight, Lagunitas, for their unofficial sponsorship. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lagunitas.
Darn right. We love you.
We love you.
Go. Welcome back, everybody, here to Tiny House Live, high above the hills of Petticoat, with my special friend tonight and guest, Francis Rico. Let me get us back up into our visual proportions. We were just having a great little conversation about, life in general. I think that's really where we've been. So glad to have you here, my friend. We're coming up. Here we go. All right, back in we go. There you go. Here I am, your cameraman, your sound man. I'm everything to you, babe.
Well, that song, It's Time, it was something that I wrote the music based on some chord progressions that our buddy Preston Bailey had shared with me.
Preston. Yeah.
Wonderful guy, wonderful.
Yeah.
And he has a small recording studio and plays an incredible. He's a talented instrumentalist, and he played bass on that. We brought in a drummer. I played guitars and sang it, and then we had he wrote that chorale part in the center because he's always been a choir director as a music educator.
There you go. I like that break.
Yeah. So it really is beautiful. But anyway, it's this message. It's time is really saying that there's no more time to postpone anything. This is the time to do it.
Yeah, you can keep saying that, and you keep hoping that people are going to start catching on, that may actually be the reality around them, and I have every hope that they realize that.
Yes.
Because that's really it, as we move to progress as a human being on this planet.
Yes.
Through our own evolution, and as we move on. While I got you, before we dive in, because we're going to actually do something musical here in a second. Oh, you've got a chant or a story?
Yes. So the chant is a chant in a verb-based language, and it'll have a resonance that you will hear in part of you that is an awareness, but not necessarily your conscious mind, which tries to translate things into English and understand them. The words of the chant are basically that breath, matter, and movement, that we step into relationship with creation, with alignment with creation, and that we bring that relationship back into the present moment. So it's actually a dance, but you don't have to actually dance it. But I used it as a rain dance, and we created rain during the drought.
Oh, really?
And you would have Can
you do that again, please? It's about time.
I know. You would think that it would be like a bunch of like you said, hippies, smoking some cannabis that would find Senor Rico and ask him to do. No. You know who it was? It was the Grangers, and it was the horse rescue people and a lot of the ranchers, because it was costing. They were going out of business trying to keep their cattle and their herds and their horses watered and fed.
Wow.
And they said, does anybody know how to do a rain dance? And they found me. So we did it, and it was a beautiful, bright, and sunny day. And that night, it rained.
Well, isn't that some of the magic that a shaman can produce?
Shamaning can do that.
Shamaning can produce weather changes and
So the benefit of this chant for you is that we'll move into connection with the heart of creation and bring that connection, the flashing, sparkling, iridescent light at the heart of the universe, at the heart of creation, at our hearts, and bring that back into our present moment. And all you have to do is to allow yourself to be swayed and moved. So there's three words, Wamachi, which means breath, matter, and movement. It means this movement. And then you're going to hear the word Hey, which means now, and then Tachi Hu, which means plowing the fields of light and bringing that back to the present moment. And then you've heard this word at the end of indigenous prayers, Aho, Ho, and what that means is here. So Wamachi, now, Tachi Ho, here. So it means that you're stepping in and then you're bringing back to this present moment. And the reason why I want to use this chant, why it will work for us, is that this is a way of getting high and deep and broad that doesn't involve anything other than vibration.
I love it. That's music.
It is music.
That is music.
And we're going to have a little music going on with it.
I love it. I'm going to rearrange you here, bring you into your own little camera round. And yeah, let's move forward, man, dude. Let's. I want to bring this. I want to start us off a little tone, and we'll bring in some rhythm for you.
So now I'm going to be totally gone. So you just bring me back by just saying, when you say, okay, we've a couple minutes, a minute of this or two or whatever it feels right to you.
I'm watching the timing.
Okay. Okay. Put your seatbelts on, everybody. Wa ma chi ta chi hu wa ma chi he ta che hu ho wa ma chi he ta che hu ho wa ma chi he Tache hu ho Wamachi he Tache hu ho Wamachi che hu Wamachi he Tache hu ho 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 Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi he Tache hu ho 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 Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi he Tache hu ho Wamachi he Tache hu ho Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi he Tache hu ho Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi Tache hu
It is good that you have come looking for a feeling in the wind. Come down river looking around, feeling gotta roam. So come down river, looking around, reach into the sound of the water. Somewhere between the reflection and the stars is the feeling of life and love, where you can hear the stars in the wind. Feeling, twinkling and fluttering in cottonwood leaves. From yesterday, from days gone by, and I have tomorrow. From yesterday, that I borrow. Fade back in.
Tache hu Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi Tache hu Wamachi now Tache hu here Namachi now here now here.
My friend, you're not a shaman, you're a magician. That's what it is.
I'll ring to that.
I'll ring to that. Oh, that's an amazing blessing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that energy into my tiny house and just,
yeah,
I
thank
won't
you.
say, man.
Thank you. I think that sound, and the reason why we love music so much, is that it is a way of allowing our spaciousness to grow, allowing us to become, we love to dance, we love to move, we love to have fun. And fun is fundamental. I mean, isn't it?
Fun is fundamental. It's a great way to look at it.
It's got to be.
Oh, well, I'm going to look at our list. What do we need to talk about here, Francis?
Well,
Let
I
me
want to
see.
talk about Peacetown for sure.
Well, let's make sure we
But
cover
also we
Peacetown.
have to talk about, ancient, I mean, how did all this happen?
Oh, well, yes, of course, and that's kind of where I started leading off. Thanks for pulling me back in, because I wanted to ask you about what one of the topics that I'm really interested in is ancient astronaut theories. And I know that may sound kind of hokey and TV-like, but I'm really interested in the possibilities of life off planet, of possibilities of life off planet affecting our progress and even our possible existence. So
Yes.
how does the shaman look into this world of we'll say extraterrestrial beings?
Well, there's two aspects to this, and both are very relevant to what there is. The old stories that are explanations for what has happened and why things are the way that they are and how they got here. And there's a great deal of skepticism built into those stories, to skepticism of origins, of what was created and how and why.
Right.
And then there is the fact that we need a better story for the present moment, because we are all in something together that now is up to us. So the ancient story here is that evolution was interrupted on this planet. Evolution was interrupted by beings that came here for the resources that were here. And in the course of dealing with mining and bringing these resources for the use in their planet, in their dimension, that they created helpers that they called, that there were manufactured beings based on the evolution
A
here.
working class.
Right. So the working class, and it's actually the origin of perhaps the aberration that has infected the human species, that has been the enslavement of, particularly it's been the inappropriate enslavement, use and abuse and exploitation of the feminine. No other species has done this ever anywhere in creation. But when you are a co-opted and you are a species that is expected to be compliant, complacent, and obedient to the directorship of what we're now calling the elites, as an example, in our current situation. When the premium is on you being in alignment with something that is so dysfunctional and destructive and exploitive and predatory that it has brought our planet to the brink. The old indigenous people were incredibly skeptical of what they called the gods.
Mm-hmm.
This because they had their own agenda.
Yeah.
So their stories are how to connect with the divine center of the giftedness of each being, and not the mythology that was being fed to them, and the stories, and even the agendas and the co-option and the machinations, the playing with everything from genetics, which is what we're doing now to GMOs and
Sure.
all of that.
Yeah.
So the old stories are pretty harsh, and they go back to a time when a natural evolution of who and what we are was interrupted, and from their point of view, we're considered hybrids. We are an invasive species on this planet, which kind of explains something, right? But there is an invasive species that the plantain plant, which is not the plantain like the banana. This is the little plant that came over from Europe, and it has big leaves, and you find it everywhere where there's pathways where people walk, because it's creation's offering to try to it's the beauty of creation taking over the hardscape of our neural pathways that are so habitual and so full of the aberration of domination, predation, exploitation, and enslavement, and co-option and exploitation of everything on our planet that has brought us to this brink. Is it possible for us to evolve now? And the answer is yes. Yeah, we're feeling it.
Yeah.
But the old stories are not so complimentary of what we would call these elite species, the gods, the more evolved and advanced. They basically found the going got tough here, and when the going got tough, they created a servant class. And now all the stories, but I'm going to recommend this to everybody.
Oh yeah, please.
I have a story. Here it is. This is a book called A Shaman's Guide to Deep Beauty. that does contain one of these stories of origin and explain back to even in the Garden of Eden how the original this
You
is
know I'm gonna love this.
how the original fruit that was offered to Adam and Eve by someone who said, you've got to see what's really happening, was a pomegranate.
Really?
And because when you open the pomegranate, you see that
Yes.
all the seeds in the pomegranate are the equal of all the other seeds.
Yeah.
There is not a dominator seed that is the lead seed that stands above. This whole hierarchical structure, the structure of hierarchy is the aberration. We are designed to live in council, to be with each other, to accept the differences as our source of strength between us, rather than having everybody comply to the rules that come down from above. So the opportunity for us now is to step back into council, step back into celebration, step out of exploitation of our world and of each other, and step into celebration.
New world.
And that is our new world, and
Yeah.
that's where we're at. So I know people might be skeptical. These are stories, and another way of saying what I just said was that there are a lot of old stories. It's time for a new story.
Ooh, I like that. Because I do love stories.
We're good at storytelling. Let's co-create a story that makes life worth living, that makes life worth celebrating. And where are we starting this right now in this moment? Here in the tiny house.
I say we're starting in original mythology.
That is a beautiful way of saying
Isn't that it?
That's
It's
the way.
an original mythology, and I've worked on this myself. I have a few that I could tell you about with the jazz
Beautiful.
elephant. I have a story of how music was created on the planet.
I love it.
And it's created by a young mutated elephant who didn't know any better. His grandfather came to him, much like your grandfather, and looked at him and said, you know, in a dream, he touched him on his trunk, and this young elephant got holes in his trunk. And this young elephant woke up in the morning and did his normal elephant thing and said, wait a minute, something's wrong with my trunk. It's making all kinds of squeaky musical sounds. And he said, something's wrong with me. He went down to the water hole
Yes.
and started interacting with his friends, and then realized as he started to act like another elephant and all of a sudden started playing music, it was music, and nobody ever heard this form in their life before. And because it was
not.
music, they said, oh my God, what is this? And they all became entranced and danced around this water hole
I would be there dancing
because
too.
of this mutated elephant's trumpeting sounds.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And he felt after, as beautiful as it was and as mesmerized as everybody was, there came a point where the lions realized they were not catching the gazelles. There became a point where the balance was now off. They can't be in bliss mode all the time.
No, you can't.
No, you can't. And so what happened was when they all awoke, they realized the shudder together and said, oh my God, this is wrong. And they were very mad at the young jazz elephant because of this. And because of this, jazz elephant felt terrible about himself. He realized, oh God, I'm a freak. What's wrong with me? Nobody likes me. Everybody's
Been there.
against me. And then he went to sleep again. In the middle of the night, his grandfather came back to him and said, you're not the freak. You're actually the one. You're not the freak. You're the one. You've played something that nobody's ever heard on this planet. You've introduced music to the planet. And because of that realization, Jazz Elephant started playing music like he'd never played before. He played his trunk in solo, just like Coltrane. And he just went off in that realm. And he played so feverishly fast that eventually it got to the point that he started sucking up everything around him because he was pulling inward so much. He sucked this up, he sucked the landscape up, he sucked everything around him until he finally found his own tail and sucked himself up. Because of this process, he became immortal.
This is the origin of the universe, by the way, which is the song.
There you go.
Of creation.
This is exactly what we're talking about. So that's my spin, and I have to credit my good friend and brother Lostis Palas for guiding me on that story. I told you his writer's name was Fahad to do so, because he had to come up with something, right?
Yeah.
If I had to do so. So anyway, yes, the Jazz Elephant story, and
that's lovely.
Thank you for allowing me to throw that one out. I didn't expect to put that out there tonight, but your presence seemed the perfect time for me to lay out some of my own original mythologies.
Yeah, and that is where music originated, because like in my book, A Shaman's Guide to Deep Beauty, beauty is the language of creation. Beauty isn't something that's in the eye of the beholder or any of the bullshit that we make up and express. Beauty is the way that creation speaks with itself. This is why the old indigenous traditions call it the beauty way, or the path of mutual benefit is the way of beauty. So that beauty, that elephant's song, that beautiful flute of his trunk is the universe that we inhabit.
Yeah.
And it gives me hope too, because all of the elephants and all of the lions and all of the otters and all of the insects and all of the trees and all of the birds and everything has been praying for human beings to hear this deeper music and for us to come to our senses and to begin to love and care for. I mean, their prayer is that we wake up.
Are you saying we may be able to catch up to their intelligence level?
If we could catch up to the jazz elephant, we would be.
I hope so. I've always thought that intelligence isn't the process of memorizing things. It's more of the process of interacting with your environment. That's intelligence, because that's going to make you move forward as a person, as in its culture. And so, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. My goodness, what, 9 o'clock? How did that happen? Well, I'm not controlled by time and space, as we've already discussed.
Okay. Well, there are just a couple things that I want to add in.
Absolutely.
Peacetown.
Yes.
Of course, our concert series at Ives Park, all the concerts were canceled. Of course they were. But what we decided was that the show had to go on, that we had to bring this reflection of community showcasing itself to itself. So with the professor's help, because he has a great, beautiful archive, a lot of the musical performances from his work at the Redwood Cafe, which that we, as musicians in the county, we are thrilled. This is the way you're supposed to do things. So it takes someone like this to ignite that. It also takes someone like Michael at Redwood Cafe who believes.
Yes, Michael is the community backbone. I would not be able to do what I've done for you and our community if it wasn't for Michael McCullough, knowing that he's the community person. And as he says to me, if it's not fun, we're not doing it.
This is a real guy. I mean, this is
a real guy.
Is really important.
And he's Irish.
No kidding. Well, so with Jim Corbett, another Irish man, we are bringing the concert series forward by creating a concert with the bands that would have played, but also showing some of the local artists and including a little poetry and the moment of silence that we brought with a magic flute, things like that. So we're being supported by the professor supports us and brings us videos, and we include those. He's on our team, but it's one of those things that it's a community showing itself to itself. And it's available every Wednesday, and it happens an hour before the tiny house.
This is why I never get to participate and watch it, because I'm always, and the same with Peacetown when it was going on. I was doing my shows on Wednesdays.
But here's the thing: is that because it isn't a live show like what you do, which is wild, on the edge, because it's not a live show. It's you can go to peacetown.org. And you can click on concerts, and you can play it at your convenience.
I did go back and watch them. I have.
Yeah,
absolutely. The Burroughs and Dillback, and
just to see what's going on. And it's just a way of us, keeping the music alive and keeping it happen. And we still raise money for music education, which has always been important to me. So
super important. Knowing that, I've rebooted my Best of Redwood Cafe. I took the month of June off. I don't know if everybody realizes. I've said it a few times on the show, but when we got the word we could no longer do live shows at the Redwood Cafe, it was a Tuesday, and I continued on that Thursday to start rebroadcast. I didn't really skip a beat. Did that for almost 2.5 months. 32 shows at 2 hours apiece, plus 2 hours to make each show.
Wow.
And I did that for 3 shows a week, plus my tiny house for 2 solid months, and then fell down and took a month off in June. But I realized, once again, it's safer for everybody if I'm kept busy. And so I came back, so I'm going to do my Wednesday night, like we're doing tonight, my Tiny House Live. And my format's going to be varied a little bit more. I'm having wonderful people come in, like Francis, talking to me, talking with all of us, imparting information and wisdom that, where else are you going to find this other than my tiny house right now? That's what I'm telling you.
That's true.
It's very true. So I'm really pleased to be bringing this format to you, and I've got a lot more planned. While I've got you here, next week I'm going to come back and actually I don't have anybody scheduled. I had a guest that had to cancel, so I'm going to stand and cook up and see what I can come back with next week. Who knows? Something interesting right here, of course, right here at 8 o'clock on Tiny House Live. But this Saturday, speaking of the Redwood Cafe and rebroadcast, I'll be bringing back Soul Fuse on a two full dance night.
One of my very favorite bands. These guys are really. I love these guys.
Roger Volts and believe me, all the kids.
It's amazing. Yeah. Al Garth.
Garth.
Oh my God.
Goodness.
Steve
Eagles. We can go down the list of bands he's played with.
And Steve Barbieri. I mean,
Steve, come on.
and Evan Palmerson. Everybody in that band is an absolutely incredible incredible musician, and they're magical. They're a magical band.
Yeah, I'll be rebroadcasting a show we did in, I think it was November of last year, and that'll be broadcasting to the Redwood Cafe Facebook page, much like the way I broadcast this show to the Tiny House Live page.
Yes.
And where can you find this, Frank? It's really easy. It's just www.facebook.com/Tiny House Live page.
Oh, so Tiny House, okay.
Yeah, Tiny House Live page, and that's where we are right now. Redwood Cafe is very much the similar, /redwoodcafe.katati.
Okay.
Either way, those are the URLs where you can find those shows. And
right.
I've got a special one coming up next Saturday, after this Saturday, with the Bossa Nova Duo with Nicky Otis, right? One of the Otis boys, yes, and Matt Silva. So a duo.
Matt Silva's a great guitar player.
Amazing. So that'll be 2 Saturdays from now. But what I'm saying is I've got a lot still coming up on Tiny House Live and my Redwood Cafe Live.
Well, it's a celebration that you're bringing, and that's what's really important, is that we move out of sacrifice mode, we move out of an idea of service, and we move into pure celebration. So for you to do this and to lead the way and to light it up.
Yeah,
you're always on the front edge of things.
I'm trying to be, man. Well, it's safer if you're looking over the edge. You can see how far you're going to fall. You see, if you're going to take a run at it, you better know what's to look on the other side.
Okay.
I'm one of those guys that like to look over the edge a lot, as my Tiny House show. Right, where are we, by the way?
Tiny House.
There we go.
There we go.
Tiny House Live.
Yes, where we are.
We all got station IDs. Yes. And how long is Peacetown still going for? A few more Wednesdays, right? We got another month or so, right?
Through the middle of September, and our final show is with Soul Fuse.
Oh, it is.
So I mean, that's going to be in September at some point. So the concerts were every Wednesday at Ives Park, and we had an attendance of between 1,000 and 1,500 people a show. Mm-hmm. And one of the moments that we did that was important, I mean, we've done this for many, many years, but we created a moment of silence where Jim would play his flute, but it wasn't a memorial silence. It wasn't the solemn silence. It was a silence of connectedness with all of life, sending a message of peace that we find within ourselves out to the world, and sharing what we have, the gift that the beauty of the way that we live in Northern California and Sonoma County. It's just
an amazing life, isn't it?
Yeah,
I wouldn't trade it for anything.
No,
or any place.
This is an amazing place to be and to live. So let's take advantage of it, and let's broadcast like you're doing. Let's all broadcast that place within ourselves that is full of peace and creativity and responsiveness, instead of fear, which is so pervasive. We can easily just move to respect for, we don't really know what's going on with the virus or what it means or what, but rather than getting into arguments about the conspiracies, let's just move to respect. Instead of thinking that we're going to be able to fight or run from this thing, we can move to a place of a different kind of a response. Our response to distress is to become love in action, is to become loving without fear.
Yeah.
Without fear.
Without fear. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's an amazing, that's actually an amazing place to end this, where we're at right now.
Beautiful.
Brother. And I can't think of a better way to
I'll ring to that.
You got one for me? Let me ring a bell too on this end. There you go. All right.
So this is our thank you to you.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you so much for being here. Francis Rico, Tiny House Live. Join us next Wednesday. Please come back. A lot of good information going on here. A lot of good things happening. If you have any issues, if you have any questions on how I can help you get your expressions of creativity and life out there live, feel free to message me. I'm sure. How can people reach you if they'd like to reach you?
Talk to this guy. I mean, I'm telling you. Yeah, you can go to shamanzone.com. Shaman Zone, remember Zone Music, shamanzone.com, and you can contact me from there. Yeah.
Fantastic, fantastic. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. Very, very special night for me. I'm so glad you enjoyed it as much as I didn't have any chance to go over tonight and look at our Facebook chat.
Oh my God!
No, we totally missed the
Everybody.
entire chat. We got so involved in chatting. We're going to finish up. We're going to go back. We're going to take a look at some of the comments you've been making during the show, and we'll be laughing and enjoying your comments and your
you.
company after the fact. But know that we both love you and respect you, Sonoma County. Have patience, have respect. Things will be fine. Have faith. Move forward, my friends. Move forwards. Let me bring you our tiny live good night to you. Love you much, Sonoma County. Please take care, won't you?